So we have three new panelists here. That we have two from South Bend from Manufacturing Technology Incorporated, and we also have one from Goshen at DJ Construction. And we're honored to have you here to share your stories about education and career pathway. So we'll again have all three of you share individually, and then we'll open it up for questions. So be thinking of your questions, and you go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I was a little eager. My name is Nathan Green. I work at Manufacturing Technology. I'm here to tell you this is a real good thing you're doing right here. Back when I went to school, which was a while ago, I'm not going to say how long ago, when I was in high school, we didn't have things like this, or our counselors weren't deep into careers or anything like that. It was basically like you're just going to go to college or you're going to stay home. And my mother told me either I'm going to go to college or I'm going to get a job. And I knew back at that age I wasn't trying to get a job, so I was like, yeah, I guess I'm going to go to college. Not knowing really what I wanted to go for or anything, but everybody else was going to college, so I figured to go to college too. Went to college for about a year, partied too much, and just came home after a year, not really knowing what I wanted to do, worked various jobs, ran into my soon-to-be wife and worked warehouse jobs from here to there, moved to Indianapolis for a while, started a family, still worked, had jobs, but not really a career. I worked there for a while, and I ended up going to ITT Tech, I want to say about 2007, and that worked pretty good for me, but then my wife's grandmother got sick, so we moved back home. And I got introduced to manufacturing technology by a career, I want to say, a career counselor that the family knew. I didn't even go in and talk to him. He just came to me. He's like, give me a resume, and I'll see what I can do for you. You're eager to work. Give me a resume. I'll see what I can do for you. So he got me into manufacturing technology. I started there they put me on the first shift with my co-partner right here, Mr. Zalambe. And as we worked there, we came up with a strategy. They had us at a project, a temporary project, and they were asking for 13,000 parts a shift. Me and my coworker, we came up with a strategy, and we brought out 2,000 parts a shift. And we worked the first shift. We worked that pretty good. And our manager came to us and said, you guys are doing very good. He said, hard work pays off. He always said that to us, hard work pays off. You guys are doing very good. The project's coming to an end, but I'm going to find somewhere to put you guys because you guys are working pretty good. So they put us in the production department, both of us together. Then about 8 months or so after that, they moved me to the shipping department. I worked there pretty good by myself for a while. And then after that, from working hard still, I was offered another promotion, which was they were going to send me to school to be a builder, machine builder. And let me tell you, back at Manufacturing Technology, we build machines, various welding machines, inertia welders, stir welders that go all the way around the world. It's a small company, but it does big things. We make parts for Rolls-Royce. We make parts for Federal Mogul, GE, various things for the, I'm trying to think, slow down, I'm sorry, I'm not a speaker. The government, I'm sorry, various projects for the government. So we're doing that, the hard work paid off, and right now I'm going to school, I'm going to Southwestern Michigan and Niles. They're helping me pay for it, and it shows that hard work does pay off. And I'm going for a controls engineer, I'm taking up mechatronics and robotics. And that's just to say that a four-year college is not for everybody. If I would have knew this back when I was younger, that I could just work my time in and figure out something as I go, that would help me a lot. So this is a great thing you guys are doing here. I want to say congratulations to you.
Well, my name is Rico Zalame. Nathan kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but I guess I'm going to start a little bit farther back. I'm a little bit younger than Nathan, but I grew up in South Bend. I went to about every middle school, elementary school you can think of back there, and I ended up going to St. Joe. My mom actually worked her way, found a way for me to go there through vouchers and various other means. It was really hard for me back then because my parents had just split up, and my mom, she was one of those who just never gave up. I mean, she took 4 boys with her by herself, raised them all, and that's kind of where I got my work ethic from. So I remember back in high school, I was kind of one of those kids who wasn't really interested in school. I was more interested in girls and playing sports. But I remember I had a guidance counselor. She was always on me. Every once in a while, I'd walk down the hallway, and she'd just called me into her office just for no reason, just asked me questions like, what are you going to do after high school? I was like, I'm going to play ball. I don't know. I mean, at the time, that's all I really wanted to do. But I want to say halfway through my high school, I think about junior year, I ended up having a baby very young, just messing around, just not keeping my head on straight. And that was kind of the thing that really woke me up to, okay, well, now I got to find a way to, to grow up. I can't keep doing the same thing and, blowing things off. And I ended up cleaning up my act a little bit, ended up, getting straight A's the rest of the way through, and finally got into IU Bloomington. And so I went off and I went and, for 1 year I was there, but then my mom ended up losing her job. And so I ended up coming back to South Bend to, to work, to help support her and my younger brother. But I always knew that eventually, I really wanted to go back to school because, working a normal 9 to 5 in the, the lower income bracket was never something that I was interested in. And finally, through actually my child's mother's grandfather, he worked at manufacturing technology. He told me of an opening, and he said, I can't guarantee you anything, but you have an interview and see what happens. So like Mr. Green said, we went in there and production wasn't going how they wanted. This was a new job, creating sensors for car companies. And they were blown away by the fact that we came in there new to the job, and it took us about maybe 3 weeks to kind of get our system going to where we kind of set the mark. A lot of the other departments were kind of amazed, and the second and third shift hated us because we brought the quota up, and they didn't understand why we were working so hard. For them it was kind of like, well, just do what you're supposed to do and leave. For us, we were kind of a different mode to where we wanted to show our worth. And close to the end of the time where this job was coming to an end, we were kind of faced with two different decisions. One was to maybe slack off a little bit because we thought they were getting rid of us, or two, just work how we work. And we decided, it doesn't matter. If nothing else, we'll get the extra money and that will cushion us to our next job. But like you said, the manager of our department at the time, he always looked out for us, and he always told us that if you keep going for it, eventually you'll get it. Nathan ended up going off to shipping, and I stayed in contract welding for a while, and then another year later, he moved on, and I ended up getting a job in shipping. But I remember a conversation I had with the CFO of our company around that time, and I didn't even know he was the CFO. He was walking around handing out check stubs, and he ended up asking me, what do you want to do with your life? And I was thinking, well, I would really like to be an accountant, and that's something that I was always drawn towards, but I don't have the means to do so, and I've always, I was trying to save up money to do something like that. And later on, I found out that MTI offered an education assistance program. And through, every once in a while we have these job bids within our company where people can move up. And every time a job came open, I always applied for it. Whether I was qualified or not, I figured, that's one more step in the way. I get to meet somebody new, maybe they'll give me a shot. And so after a while, I finally got, a new position. And through that, I learned that, just because you don't get the job you wanted for it, or you want, it doesn't mean that someone else didn't notice you and might consider you for another job. So I ended up working in shipping, and I ended up getting moved up into bill of materials. And then finally, I went to my the head of HR, and I asked her about education assistance. And they told me that, they would be able to, help me fund my college career. And so now, I'm just finishing up my sophomore year at IU Bloomington. I'm an accounting major. I'm interning in accounting within the company. And I mean, if someone would have told me 4 years ago when I started MTI that this is where I would be, I would have laughed at them, and just told them, no way. But it's just a testament to how if you work hard and if you have a goal and you keep going for it, eventually you'll get it. Thank you.
Green. I'll trade you. Great stories, aren't they? And it kind of makes, they're kind of hard to follow because really I don't get to tell my story. I get to tell someone's story that works for me, works at our company. And so I don't get the personal side that you guys got, and that was good. I like that. That was great stuff. And you guys want to get involved with construction at all? I might have some openings. I mean, so I get to tell somebody else's story, but it's about the pathway. It's about a young man, 28, 29 years ago, graduating from high school, average student, Northridge High School graduate, if you're familiar with the Middlebury area. Didn't quite know what he wanted to do, but out of high school, he thought, well, okay, he was a hard worker. His dad taught him how to work hard. So he got a job as a concrete finisher. Now, if you know anything about construction, anything about placing concrete, there's not a less glamorous job than working in what we call mud. And walking around, and this was before, too, we had all the advanced technology, laser screeds, all these things to make jobs working concrete a lot easier. So this is a young man that had to work hard. And again, he was the lowest position you could start in, and working with forms, working with trowels, working with all the equipment to place concrete, driveways, sidewalks, foundations, whatever. Young man worked hard, and about 26 years ago, he had the opportunity to come to work for DJ Construction as part of our concrete crew. Thought about his career options, thought, yeah, it's a good company, I'll give that a try. So he joined us 26 years ago, started with our concrete group, but he wasn't satisfied. He wasn't done. He wanted more. So he learned. He started working around some of our steel erectors and some of our carpenters. He watched what they did. He asked questions. In fact, some of the old guys would tell you he was a royal pain in the you-know-what. But he was curious. He wanted to know more. He learned. He went off to an apprenticeship school as part of our trade, one of our trade organizations. He went to a program for 3 years on some of his own dime and learned even more skills. After those 3 years, he was a very talented carpenter and concrete finisher. He kept growing his experience, asking questions, learning more. Eventually worked himself to the point that he could create relationships with people and he could manage people a little bit. So he moved into a position of a project foreman, which for DJ Construction, that means he's managing multiple DJ employees doing certain tasks on a building project. Whether it was framing, whether it was concrete footings, whatever it might have been, he headed up, he was a foreman for that particular trade on that particular project. Okay? But he wasn't satisfied. He wanted more. He was driven, just like a couple young men up here. So then he worked, learned as much as he could, watched how other people managed projects, and he became a project superintendent. Now he's managing an individual project himself, all the subcontractors, all the employees, all the materials on the job site. He was in charge of the complete project. Pretty big step from a guy who just was finishing concrete. Was he satisfied? No. Did he want more? Yes. So where else can you go? You don't have all you have is a high school diploma. What else can you do? Well, his next step was to become a project manager. Plenty of steps in the construction industry, right? But he had the opportunity to manage projects, multiple projects. Instead of just one project, he managed 4 or 5 projects. He oversaw superintendents on all of his projects. He dealt with the client working through relationships, and there are never any problems on a construction project, so there's never any issues to deal with. There's never a single one. But he learned how to deal with situations. He learned how to deal with people. He continued to grow his leadership and management skills. Was he satisfied? No, he wanted more. Where else can you go? What else can you do? Well, you know what? He hadn't been in the office yet. He hadn't been on the front side of a project. I want to become part of your pre-construction, part of the pre-construction group. He said, you know what? All he's shown us with his capabilities, his willingness to learn, his willingness to work hard, this is a young man we need to give a chance. He wasn't quite as young then. He'd gotten a little bit older, but he became part of our pre-construction group. He learned how to deliver projects, working with clients to understand what their needs were, what they needed to fix their problem at their facility so they could produce more product or have more employees, whatever it took. But he learned how to do that. And he was really good at it. He was great at building relationships with clients. He was great at asking people to do work for him, to help him. He assembled teams. He got it. Was he done? Nope, he wanted more. He wanted to learn more. He wanted to do more. Where else can you go? Well, at the time we had a serious illness of our field manager and we needed to replace him quite suddenly. This gentleman said, you know what, I can do that. And that's him right there knocking because he's telling, I'm not telling the story right. He's saying, that's not right. But he filled that position as our field manager. Did it really well. Created relationships with all of our field guys. Dealt with situations on projects. All these things that he learned to do throughout his time in our business. And he grew. A couple years ago, he was named Vice President of Field Operations at a $38 million a year construction company, one of the biggest in Elkhart County. Has not one stitch of a college degree. Probably gets itchy anytime someone says read a book or college. I mean, that just doesn't sit well with him. It's not something he's good at. He is not a traditional learner. Sit him in a meeting and he's like always moving. Something's going. He's anxious. He's got to do something. But he's a young man that I watched. I mean, talk about success stories, and I would love to take credit for this. I'd love to say I'm the one that inspired him to do this stuff. Nope. That inspiration came from within. That desire came from his desire to be the best that he could be. He's an amazing guy. I wish he was confident enough to come here and tell you his story, because his story probably comes a lot better from him as opposed to me. But it just shows you that while a college degree is wonderful, and I'm the wrong guy, I mean, I love education, I love reading, those are all the kind of things that are really important to me. But this is a young man that created an amazing career for himself by being willing to not be satisfied, by being willing and being curious, being willing and wanting more, and not stopping until he got where he wanted to go. And I'm not sure he's still done. I'm currently the president of the company. I think he's coming after me next, is what I think. But you know what? That's all right. We've prepared him for that. He's prepared himself for that. And you want to talk about those young folks in your schools, in your classrooms, the people that you're dealing with, that you know they have no desire to go to college. They have no desire to, the fact they'd like to be out of school right now, they'd rather be doing something else. Are there opportunities out there for them? I'm here to tell you, yes, there are. Now, it takes something special. It takes something that I think these two gentlemen have. It takes the right attitude. It takes a desire. But you know, with that, they can accomplish so much. And I wish that gentleman was here. I wish he'd stand up here. He would be tremendously embarrassed, though. He doesn't like getting credit. He doesn't like being up in front of people. But he is such a wonderful example of what is possible. And I would encourage all of you, I know some of the kids that you work with challenge you every day, that there are days that you shake your head and you go, oh man. But in each and every one of those kids might be something. Might be something that you might be able to spark that might create that success story, just like these two young men up here and this young man that worked, not young man anymore, but this man who works for us, Vice President of Field Operations. He has a ton of responsibilities. I think his hair falls out in clumps some days because of all the things he deals with. But he's an amazing success story. I think with that, I'm done.
Is this working now? So I hear a theme of hard work, determination, and opportunities that eventually present themselves. Thank you, all three of you, for sharing. What questions do we have for this group?
There's one over here.
Ilona Yoder again with Career Analysis Organization. Okay, so do benefits matter? Work benefits like compensation? Is it the job at hand that you're passionate about? And how can businesses show you that you are valuable, and do they? And I would love to know the percentage of businesses in Indiana that actually provide benefits to their employees.
This works, this on? Well, for me per se, when I started my company, I didn't have benefits starting off. It was like temporary. But me and Mr. Zulambe here worked pretty hard where we did get like little extra benefits. I'm not gonna say, we worked hard and got little extra benefits. Like being a temp, we even got paid vacations because of how hard we worked. We stayed longer, we did all the overtime, we worked the weekends, and that's what our foreman used to tell us, like, there's no way that I could not do stuff for you guys because you guys are bending over backwards for this company right here. You know, we did whatever was asked and even farther beyond that. So we did get little perks and stuff of that to show that we were appreciated for what we did. Like even stuff that didn't apply to temporary people, they gave us those. So in that case, yeah. And I mean, I like the company. I like the people where I work. Just coming in, all the people were friendly. It's like I said, it's like a little small, it's a family-owned company, and you get that feel from it. But it seemed like everybody in the company were like family. If you could say that, you know, you go to work some days and you don't like being bothered with people and all that. That's everybody. But on the most part, I like everybody in the company. Was that good enough for you, ma'am? I mean, is that... Sorry.
This is more of a statement. I think you guys need to speak in schools. What you guys have said, I would love to take you to all these different schools and go, hey, I hope you guys can listen. I hope you guys can understand what these two guys went through, and it's all about work ethics. You know, if you guys could sit and take some time once in a while, if you guys could grab somebody and mentor them, you guys will come across somebody in your life, and you're going to go, that kid has something. I'm going to go talk to him. You guys will come across those people. You guys need to talk to people like that.
That's sort of funny, sir. That's sort of funny because we had manufacturing day. It was about a month ago. I think about a month ago we had manufacturing day. And behind us here, who brought us here, this is our head of HR at our business, Ms. Joy Decker. And she came and talked to me. She was like, we're having manufacturing day, and we're having people sit at certain areas, and we want them to talk to the kids from high schools that came in. And she came to me and was like, I'm choosing you. I'm writing you down to speak. I was like, I don't want. She's like, you already wrote down. I'm writing you down to speak. And when it came around, I started talking to the kids and telling them, like, I wish this, like I was telling you, I wish this was able, you know, this was allowed, or they had this opportunity back when I went to high school. Because when I went to high school, it was just either going to college or not. They're just trying to push you to college. I said, man, they were telling this as, you can be this, you can start off, you can be a builder, you can be an electrician, you can be a PM. Like all of these are parts of manufacturing, and you can come in and work And you come in and work hard, and hard work pays off, and they will help you create a career for yourself. Because I was asking a lot of the kids, I was like, are you guys going to college? Talking to juniors and seniors. And a lot of them were like, yeah. And I was like, well, what are you going to be? And not one of them gave me an answer. But that's the same way I felt when I was in high school. I mean, I just knew everybody was going to college. My grades were good. I didn't want to work. So I figured I'd just keep going to college. I went for general education. I didn't even know what I wanted to be. So, I mean, I like interacting with the kids and telling them my story. Like you said, yes, I would like to do it more too.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you said that. I recently just went to a mentorship program this Saturday called the 100 Black Men of Greater South Bend. And I would say part of my story because the counselor asked me, to give a little background of why I'm here, what do I think I could offer to, the kids. And I ended up having some conversations with some young men who are high school seniors who don't know what they want to do. And one of the kids, I took him aside and I was asking him because he seemed kind of troubled. He was just like, well, my parents have all been in the healthcare profession, and I think I want to go there. I was like, but what do you want to do? What do you really like to do? And he was telling me how he wants to go into culinary arts and wants to be a chef and maybe run his own restaurant. I was like, well, why don't you do that? He was like, well, I feel pressured to become, a doctor or something like that. I was like, if that's not in you, you can't do that. You're gonna kill yourself trying to put yourself somewhere that you know in your heart that you don't want to be at. And I've always kind of been, it's kind of funny that now that I've gone through that portion of my life, I think it's kind of an obligation, like you said, to, bring some of the younger kids up right behind me, to try to show them where I went, what happened, some of the pitfalls, and how to navigate around that instead of falling into the same patterns as maybe your parents or your older brothers or, sisters who weren't necessarily bad kids or bad influences, but maybe made some decisions in life that weren't the best. But you can always, overcome that if you really want it.
Oh, I just have a quick. Is it on? Okay, sorry. I'm a guidance counselor at Elkhart Memorial High School, and just piggybacking on some of what you've said about getting in touch with the students, would any of the businesses here today be willing to host like field trips for our students? Because we have a lot of students that we've probably had about 5 college visits this semester. And I think in addition to college visits, we should have our students go into local businesses, because as you're saying, not every student is going to go to college. And just some of these employability skills we've been talking about today, I think these students need to hear it directly from you guys, because unfortunately they're not always listening to us. So I guess my question is, would you guys be willing to, if our schools got in touch with you, host for our students to come and actually talk with you at your business, if we could somehow arrange that?
So I think, yeah, Doug, go ahead. I mean, I think there's a willingness there, and I want to interject and just say part of the last part of our day, we're going to really focus on what are those practical things we can do next, and how can we all come together to have more of this happen. So everyone should be thinking about that question too. What is that, and what other questions or ideas would we have to make all this happen? But you're probably going to get mobbed afterwards, so we'll just warn you of that right now. There's a question right over here.
Just a quick statement. I don't want to steal their thunder. Everyone knows, a lot of children are not, adult children, I should say, are not college-bound material. And you said, 2025, the workforce is going to be increasing a lot. Well, 80% of our workforce is engineers, but we're looking at 20% of skilled workers, the 2-year apprenticeship workers or the assembly line workers. And we are trying to get into companies and businesses and work with schools. We do co-op, we do interns. So we're trying to train, because our age for our workforce is aging. So we are starting to look for the young breed to come in and help our business grow. Oh, manufacturing technology in South Bend, Indiana. Yes, got it.
Question there.
This is not actually a question. My name is Gay Johnson, and I am a guidance counselor at Adams High School. Yeah. I had to stand because this is not intended to be a testimonial, but a word of encouragement, because I was one of the many that went out to the manufacturing day. And the moment that I went in there, I spotted Mr. Green, who I did not know, but I made it my business to find out who he was. And with the high schoolers that I brought along with me, they were all clamoring around him, very interested, hanging on his every word in terms of the things that he had to say. So this is a word of encouragement to you that you need to keep doing what you're doing. I will tell you, I can attest to this, that your company, the people that I talked to about who is this guy, they all had the same things to say about you. They all are very supportive of what you have said and what others have said. And of course, it leads to why you are sitting where you're sitting today. So I just want to say that I really thanked your company for allowing there to be a diversity of people in your business, because I truly believe that that young people beget young people. I know, as a testament to where I am today, that it was people that looked like me that most encouraged me that I could do what I'm doing today. So I just needed to stand and say that, and I knew that I would be remiss if I didn't. Thank you for your time.
Rico, Nathan, and Doug, thank you for sharing and for the testimonies that you can take back our appreciation to your employee as well. And let's give them one final hand.